I'm going to be ranking all of my Nomad Cosmetics palettes today. I'm going to start doing these like indie brand specific or even brand specific rankings because I've got so many in my collection and I haven't done some of these brands ranking in a while. The last time I did a Nomad ranking was 2 years ago, so it's definitely time for an updated ranking. If you are new here, welcome. My name is Rachel, and if you're not new here, thank you so much for coming back. If you like indie makeup, definitely consider subscribing. I do that a lot over here, and I'm so excited to talk about one of my favorite indie brands, which is Nomad Cosmetics. I own 18 palettes from the brand. It's a lot. Technically more, but I'm grouping some palettes together. And I will, as I'm going through these palettes, I am going to pop up their swatches and close-ups, and I will pop up the letters PR if I did receive them in PR. Most of these I did receive in PR. And if you're ever interested in shopping at Nomad, if something inspires you from this video to pick up a palette, you can use my affiliate code Rachel and it will save you 10% on your purchase. It is affiliated, which means I do earn a small commission from that sale. So thank you in advance if you do use my code. And I will list everything that is on my face in the description box as well. Nomad Cosmetics is a great formula, both their mattes and their shimmers. But I will say a lot of these palettes, especially in the shimmer formula, tend to vary from palette to palette. So I definitely have palettes here that I enjoy the formula more than others. So I will try to kind of let you know why I dislike or like something. And as I'm going through this ranking, I would love to know what some of your favorite palettes from the brand are. Let me know. Or if you've never tried Nomad before, let me know, and let me know which ones from this video is something that you would like to try. And of course, a disclaimer, this is all based on my own preference, my own opinion, and all of these palettes, honestly, I like. There's no palette here that I dislike. I have decluttered one palette from the brand ever. It was their 9-pan holiday palette from 2022, I wanna say, or something like that, a while ago. That palette I was not a big fan of, but I've kept all the other ones in my collection, and the reason is I really like all of these palettes. So yeah, I'm just gonna start off by saying that. And last thing before I get to the ranking is Nomad is an indie brand out of Texas. They are a destination-based indie brand. So they base all their collections around different destinations around the world, which I think is really cool and unique. So it's a really, really fun brand. Definitely check them out if you haven't already. I'm gonna link their website down below. So coming in at number 18, I have the Whistler Snow Lodge palette. So this is the second palette I ever bought from the brand. I remember getting this in the mail and being so excited with the whole theming. It came with a coaster like you would get at the bar at like a ski resort. I thought it was so cool and creative. And this is based on Whistler, British Columbia in Canada, and it is beautiful. Now, the color story. If you've been here before, and if you haven't been here before, you're gonna hear me say this 1,000 times. I am not a huge fan of blue eyeshadow. It is my least favorite color to wear in general. Now, I do wear it. And when I do wear blues, I actually like these more like powder blues versus more like greenish blues, teals, aquas, stuff like that. Those types of blues are not my favorite to wear. So this is, you know, a third blue in my opinion. I actually really like this palette. I've used it so much. And at the time when this came out, I thought the quality was really good. I just think that they've improved their quality overall in the years since they've launched this. This launched quite a long time ago. Especially there is like a iridescent duochrome up here that is definitely powdery. It's a little thicker. It's not very shiny. They have definitely improved their iridescent shades in their palettes. And the shimmers are good. They're just like a very standard metallic. Again, for the time when this launched, I think it was right on par. But since this palette has launched, they've definitely improved their formula. And so that is why it's coming in at the last spot. Coming in at number 17, I have the Keys, Beachy, and Peachy palette. I live in Florida, so I'm always here for a Florida-themed palette. And I've been to the Keys a couple of times. I live nowhere near the Keys, but in my past, I've been to the Keys. I love the whole tropical theme. I love the cover art. I generally really enjoy the palettes that come in this layout. I think the quality tends to be the best quality. And I think the quality of this is very good. The mattes are really pigmented. The shimmers are really pretty. There are no special shimmers in here. They're just a standard shimmer and they're really good quality. The only reason this is coming down at number 17 is the color story. It's very very, very colorful. I tend to be more attracted to neutral shades, or at least palettes that have neutrals in them where I can create a neutral look. And this one, I really can't do that, which is totally fine. Again, not every palette has to be perfect for me, okay? It's totally fine. I really do enjoy this when I want a pop of color. I will use this more as like a companion palette. Yeah, and again, pretty heavily blue. But if you're looking for something like this, the quality is very good. Coming in at number 16, I have the Verona Amore in Morte palette. This was their Valentine's Day release a couple of years ago. This is the first time they've done a packaging that opens like this. I do always enjoy the fact that Nomad is trying to innovate their packaging, do something different. It's not the same thing released over and over and over again, which a lot of brands tend to do. They are really like branching out, trying new things. So there is love and death, like two different sides to the palette, and I really enjoy that. This is kind of hard to hold on camera, but I will try. So we have obviously two very different sides. And the reason this is coming in here, just honestly, I like this palette. We're getting into stuff, it's like, I like this palette. I would use this palette. I actually prefer the depth side more because there is a little more variety in the depth, a little bit more of like a different kind of smoky look that I can get. I think when it comes to reds and pinks, when the depths are so similar like this, they tend to all kind of look the same on the eyes. And that's just kind of how I feel about the red and pink side. I didn't really find that I was able to create very many different looks with it. I also feel like the shimmer formula in this is pressed very, very, very hard in the pan. I could have gotten a faulty palette, I'm not sure. The shimmers are just pressed extremely hard in the pan. So I don't love that they don't pick up super well. I always use my fingers, or let's say 95% of the time, use my fingers to apply shimmers on my lid. And I even have a hard time picking up the shimmers with my fingers. But yeah, I mean, I still like this palette, especially the depth side. It is something that I really enjoy. And I like that they did something different with this palette. Coming in at number 15, this used to be one of my favorite palettes from the brand. But they've just improved their quality in the past few years. I still really love this palette though. This is the Fetes de Provence from France. I remember when they first showed this palette, I always tell this story, when they first showed this palette, my jaw was on the floor. I thought it was one of the most beautiful spring color stories I have ever seen. It still like takes my breath away. I think it's so unique and beautiful, very spring-like, and I really like that we have a warm side here because I love warm tones. I can create a purple look, which I love purple. It is one of my favorite colors to wear. And then we have this column of yellows, which I really enjoy. Now, the mattes are really good in this, standard, good, not overly pigmented, but easy to work with mattes. But the shimmers in this are a little bit more on the softer side. I do feel like they've improved their shimmer formula in the years since they've launched this. But I do remember when I bought this, when I was chatting with one of the owners on Instagram when this launched, I think it was Felicia, and she was saying that they purposely changed the formula of the shimmers in this palette to make them more soft, to go with more of that spring theme, just to try to mix it up a little bit. Again, I do appreciate that they're mixing up their formulas. So yeah, I really like this palette. I think it's so beautiful. I haven't used this in a really long time. This is one that I probably should like take out and use. And it's got a special place in my heart because again, it was right at the beginning when I was discovering indie makeup, and I was just so excited and blown away with how much care and thought goes into the palettes, which generally Nomad, like I think they are one of the most thought out themed brands ever. I really appreciate it. So yeah, love this palette so much. Coming in at number 14, I have the Royal Europe palette. Just like I was saying with the packaging and with the Verona palette, they did something very different with this packaging, which I think is so fun. It's of course hard to see on camera, but we have like layered upon layered upon layered upon layered of like this plastic to create a textured cover. I mean, really, really stunning. Oh, and I also meant to say they do donate to a cause every single time they launch a new collection, which I think is really, really nice. They are vegan and cruelty-free as well. Should have mentioned that in the beginning. If you like jewel tones and you are looking for more mid-tone to deep mattes, this is a really good palette. And this was something, again, different for them, even in the formula. This is the first time they had released a palette full of multi-chromes. All of the shimmers in here are multi-chromes. And I do want to take a moment to describe the multi-chrome formula from Nomad Cosmetics because I do think it is very unique. The multi-chrome formula from the brand is, I think, a little bit more on the drier side, a little bit more on the thinner side, which I actually like. Sometimes when brands, or oftentimes when brands release multichromes, they are very thick, almost like they take over a look, which is fine sometimes, right? Depending on what you're looking for in that moment. But I think it's more of like a subtle multichrome moment when you wear these shades. And I also think that if you suffer from creasing or if you have hooded eyes, I feel like this formula would be really good for you because it's not ultra emollient. I can see it really working for a lot of different skin types, a lot of different eye shapes, stuff like that. With that being said, I don't feel like these multichromes are the strongest shifting multichromes because they are a little bit thinner. But personally for me, I think they're beautiful and I really enjoy them. We do have a lot of these like greenish blues, which are just not in my preference. And it is more mid-tone to deep, like I said. I would use this more as a companion palette. And the mattes in this are very pigmented. Some of the most pigmented mattes I've seen from the brand. So an absolutely beautiful, different, innovative palette. Jewel tones for that palace royalty look. Really stunning. Coming in at number 13, I have the Bosque Nuboso de Monteverde palette. This is the Costa Rican rainforest palette. I often keep the outer packaging on Nomad's palettes as well because I really like the details. We have the forest here and then we have the cutouts of the animals, and then when you pull the palette out, you can see the full color spectrum. I think it's just really fun. This is the #1 palette that I always recommend to color lovers that want to try the brand because I think this is the most beautiful, greatest quality colorful palette they have in their lineup. The mattes are just ultra pigmented, especially with these more like neon shades. They show up true to pan. They're not sheer, which a lot of neon shades can be. And we've got a really beautiful kind of saturated rainbow-esque color story. I don't want to call it a true rainbow. There are quite a lot of greens in here if you look really closely, which I really enjoy green shadows. And the shimmers in this are absolutely beautiful. Smooth, sparkly, eye-catching without being thick and heavy on the lid. I really enjoy this shade called Hanging Bridges. It is one of the most interesting duochromes. It's like a green with a pinkish brownish shift. It is so interesting. It is not a shade that I feel I've ever seen in another palette before. I mean, look at that. Oh yeah, you can see the shift there. So beautiful. Definitely a beautiful, colorful color story, perfect for summer if that is something you're looking for. I just enjoy other color stories going forward a little bit more. Coming in at number 12, I have the Polar Express palette. This was their holiday release for last year. Very cool on theme, beautiful packaging. I feel like this is kind of the updated Whistler Snow Lodge palette because Whistler Snow Lodge, I'm pretty sure has been discontinued. So I feel like this kind of took its place in a really good way. And I actually like this one, clearly like this one way more because we have this whole side of neutrals. I can create a beautiful neutral look. We even have some pops of burgundy, which I really enjoy. And like I said, when I do wear blue shades, I definitely prefer these powder blue, cool tone, like no green undertones at all. I do really prefer those types of blues. I do also like that there is a light mid-tone and dark blue, so you can create a really cohesive blue look if that's something you're looking for. But we've got some beautiful shimmers in here, the good, smooth, sparkly Nomad shimmer, the newer formula, and there is one multichrome in here. And like I've already said about the multichromes, they're a little bit more on the subtle side. You can see it's like a blue to purple, absolutely beautiful. Really cohesive color story. If you like blues especially, and you like neutrals, this is definitely one I would say you should go for. Okay, now we're getting into the stuff, like all the rest of these are really, really good. I'm gonna have to be really nitpicky when it comes to these top 11 or whatever, because they're just so, so good. So coming in at number 11, I have the Chamonix Apres Ski palette. This is their winter launch for the beginning of this year. Again, love the packaging. I love this vintage postcard type of packaging. Guys, I really do save the outer packaging on a lot of these palettes because of how much they're like works of art to me. We have the same graphic on the actual palette. And then we have this beautiful, I would say again, more jewel toned leaning color story. But the thing I love about this one versus the Royal Europe palette is we do have a light mid-tone and deep, gradient in the mattes. It's just how I personally like to do my makeup. I'm very like just stick to my ways. I don't do anything too creative with my looks most of the time. I stick to a pretty standard format, but it works for me, you know? And the other thing I love about this are they have 2 iridescent duochromes up here that are absolutely beautiful. They make the palette for me. They're shiny, they're shifty, they're beautiful for the inner corner. I actually even use them as a highlighter. I've used them as highlighters. They're just so, so, so beautiful. Wet looking, like because they have that transparent base, you can easily wear them as highlighter on any skin tone. You can layer them over the mattes. You can really do a lot with those iridescent. I don't know if they're duochromes or multichromes, but they're shifting. The middle row, this like kind of minty green, not my absolute favorite color I've ever worn or color story I've ever worn. Still really enjoy this palette. A phenomenal quality palette because it is one of their absolute like newest palettes. The quality is very good. The hair is going up. I'm getting hot. Does my hair look crazy? A little bit, but I kind of don't care. Let's move on. Coming in at number 10, I have the Fuji 5 Lakes palette. This was their fall launch from last year. And every time I mention this, I get corrected in the comments, but it is textured like canvas with some kind of art on top. I don't know if it's painting or what, but it is so, like the texture is so beautiful. The whole look of this palette is so incredibly well done. I'm so impressed with it. This is one of my favorite packagings from the brand. So this is, it says, designed on location, admiring the fall foliage around iconic Mount Fuji in Japan. I mean, look at that beautiful, beautiful piece of art. So now on the inside, we have kind of like half blue, half warm tones. The blues are nice. Again, it's not a color that I really reach for that much, but I really, really enjoy these warm tone colors. It is definitely giving fall. And I do appreciate the color story as a whole reflecting the front because I do feel like it does that really well. We have the blue from the water, we have the yellow from the sun, we have the reds from the foliage. It really works really well. This color story is not the most cohesive in my mind. I still, obviously it's coming in the top 10, so I still really love it. I think the quality is really good. And they also, I forgot to mention, they also really do a really good job of doing really cool embossings on the pans. So you see like the waves here, we have the word Fuji, we have some mountains, we have, I mean, the embossings are absolutely beautiful. It always like hurts me a little bit when I have to dip in for the first time to the palette and I'm ruining the embossing. It hurts. There's also a topper, like a iridescent topper here. Beautiful. Coming in at number 9, I have the palette that I'm wearing on my eyes today, and it is their newest palette that they've launched at the moment of filming, which is the Fairy Tale Europe palette. I love the theming. It's so like fun and whimsical. The actual packaging, the castle is raised. We have this iridescent kind of background. It's very cute. It's very, very cute. Now, this is a palette that has a row of neutral mattes and then 2 rows of colorful shimmers. I think this is very different than anything they've done so far in their line, where you're able to just like pop into this for a fun pop for your lid while using those neutral mattes to build out the look. Or you can use this as a companion palette. If you want to use more colorful mattes, you can probably reach into another palette and just grab one of the shimmers to use in your look. The shimmers in this are really pretty. They are saying that there are a handful of multichromes, but again, I don't really think that the multichromes here are very strong shifting, apart from this one called Snow White, which is an iridescent multichrome. It has more of that transparent base, but it is a very warm reddish orange shift to it, and I think it's so beautiful. The one I'm wearing on my lid is Prince Charming. I think it is a multichrome, but again, it's not really that strong shifting. I mean, I can kind of see the shift a little bit, but I actually really enjoy a palette that has a bunch of neutral mattes with pops of color in the shimmer because I love neutrals. I will get a ton of use out of these neutrals. I like that there is a gradient from light to deep. This one is light enough to use as an inner corner highlight for me, even though it doesn't really look like it is in the pan. I love that there's a matte black. I always enjoy having one of those in my palettes. I will reach into them a lot. And I enjoy this color story story a whole lot. I do feel like I maybe will reach into another palette if I want to add a colorful matte, but for me, this works out great as like a travel palette because I could create just an all matte neutral look with this, and I would really enjoy that. I do that quite often, and then to zhuzh it up a little bit, I can use one of the shimmers. So really beautiful palette, great quality because it is one of their newer palettes, but yeah, really fun. I just have some other color stories that just hold a special place in my heart a little more. Coming in at number 8, I have the Ghost Town USA palette. I love a spooky theme, okay? I'm not gonna lie, part of this is the theme. It's getting me, okay? I love a spooky theme. This was their Halloween launch of 2023, I do believe. We have this gorgeous lenticular cover. How fun is that? I don't know, I just really enjoy it. With these larger palettes, like I've already said before now, I feel like the quality is usually the best quality, like top-notch quality. I like that we have these 2 columns of neutrals where I can create my classic neutral look that I always love to create. And then we have 4 more like colorful columns that are more on the muted side, a little bit more on the grungy side, a little bit more on the darker side. So I really enjoy this. I really like this green section. Again, blues, not my ultimate favorite, but I still really enjoyed the looks that I got out of this. I think the mattes in this are pigmented, blendable. The shimmers are shiny, sparkly, smooth, thin on the eyes. Really beautiful. I don't believe there are any like special shimmers in here. Oh wait, this one might be. Well, this one's like a slate gray, but it has different colored shimmer particles in it. I don't know that it's shifting. This color story is beautiful. One of the best quality palettes they've ever done, in my opinion. From the mattes to the shimmers, just perfection, at least for what I like personally. And I know that this is a favorite palette of so many people, because it's been mentioned in my comment section quite a lot of times. It is so good. It is so good. Coming in at number 7, I have the New Zealand Stargazing palette. Again, I remember when they first launched this and I saw the sneak peek, I was like, oh wow, this is absolutely gorgeous. This one has some multi-chromes that I think are the strongest shifting multi-chromes that they've done, but I do feel like they're slightly different formula than the ones I've described before. I feel like they are a little thicker, not in a bad way, not as much as some other brands, but if you are looking for multi-chromes that do have quite a good shift and you want to try the brand, this is the palette I would probably suggest to you the most because I do feel like the multi-chromes, yeah, this multi-chrome you can see, it's very opaque. It almost looks creamy. It feels creamy, but I don't feel like it's too emollient, but the most emollient multi-chromes they've done, in my opinion. Yeah, look at this. One swipe pigment. So if you're looking for that, this is the palette for sure. I do remember getting this palette, and when I was first looking at it, I was thinking, this looks a little jumbled. I don't know really what kinds of looks I'm gonna get out of this. Am I gonna really like them? Is it gonna be hard to create looks? And when I started creating looks, I was just blown away, if I do say so myself, blown away at the looks that I created with this. Every single time I wore this palette, I was like in love with my look. In love with my look. It's just very interesting. We've got warm, we've got cool. All of the shimmers in here are special shimmers. The ones that I swatched, we have a couple of iridescent shades as well. Yeah, if you're looking for like a deeper, smokier palette with very strong shifting special shades, this is the palette from the brand I would suggest. Coming in at number 6, I have these travel palettes. I know they've gotten mixed reviews. I actually really like these palettes a lot. I do really enjoy a 6-pan palette. I'm someone that, especially, I don't know what it is lately, maybe it's just this point in my life, whatever stage I'm going through in my life, I appreciate a simple look. 2 mattes, a shimmer, something in my inner quarter, I'm good to go. And I feel like these are perfectly laid out for that purpose. The original one that they released is just called the Travel Palette. It is a neutral palette with 3 neutral mattes and 3 neutral shimmers. To me, this is an everyday palette, something I would really enjoy using. Day, night, whatever. I really enjoy this palette a lot. I would say my second favorite is the Abu Dhabi palette. This is definitely more of a warm tone neutral palette, a little more orange based, a little more terracotta based. Again, Love warm neutrals, laid out so well. I've got an inner corner highlight. I've got some mattes, 2 shimmer options for the lid. I actually really enjoyed the blue one, believe it or not, Canadian Rockies. I love the looks I got out of this. They're like bluish greens, but somehow I really enjoy them, even though I told you a few moments ago that it's not my favorite color to wear. These are just laid out in a way that I don't have to reach into something else. Oslo is probably my least favorite. It is cool tone neutrals, almost gray based, which is just not my favorite undertone when it comes to neutrals, but if you're looking for something like that, I thought the quality of the shadows was really good. The mattes were pigmented, the shimmers were that standard shimmer, nothing special, but for me, I love a standard shimmer. I don't need a palette full of multichromes. It's not something I really want, to be honest with you. So these are perfect for me. I think they serve the purpose that they're intended for. And are they the most exciting color stories? No, but I think that they're meant to be traveled with. And for that, I really appreciate it. We're now in the top 5. This top 5 was not hard for me. It was quite obvious that these were going to be in my top 5. So coming in at number 5, I have the Ireland Wild Atlantic Way palette. I have a special place in my heart for this because my husband is Irish. His mother came from Ireland to America, and I just have that little special place in my heart because my in-laws are Irish. But I mean, it's one of my places that I want to visit on my bucket list. I have to go to Ireland one day. I have to. And the other reason I love this is I love greens. And we've got a whole bunch of greens in here. But also there are some pops of neutrals. I did create a warm neutral look out of this quite easily. We've got a shimmer up here. We've got a couple of mattes down here as well. The quality of this is so good. The shimmers in this are so good. The really good shimmer formula that tends to come in this packaging. Really shiny, really smooth, really sparkly. None of these are multichromes or anything, but just a really pretty, shiny, sparkly shimmer. Listen, that's all I need in my life. Mattes, pigmented. Are some of these greens a little redundant maybe, but I don't mind. I love it. Coming in at number 4, I have the Chicago Speakeasy palette. This is also a pretty new palette to their line, and just like the Ireland palette, we have a like velvet touch, which I think is really fun. Chicago is another place on my bucket list that I want to go, and I am actually going this year, so I'm very excited about it. I mean, it's no secret that I love neutrals. This is primarily neutrals with some muted pops of color, and the colors that are here are purples and greens, which are my favorite colors to wear. So naturally, I'm very drawn to this color story. I really enjoy the neutrals that are over here. These purples are like dusty purples, so pretty and unique for my collection. I love this like kind of pistachio green. Again, very different than I've seen in other palettes. I like that this is a little more compact, but still matte heavy. And all of the shimmers in this palette are all multichromes. And they are that multichrome formula that I've described before, where it is a little bit more on the subtle side, a little bit more on the thin side, a little bit more on the drier side. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean it in a way that I don't know, I'm just describing exactly what they are. I quite like them. I think they're really pretty. They give a shift when you're in certain lighting, but they're not taking over the entire look. I appreciate that. Yeah, I just really enjoy this color story. I think the mattes perform really well, and I enjoy that multichrome formula that I've described. We have the top 3, and coming in at number 3, I have the Hudson Valley palette. This is the epitome of fall. The epitome of fall. Of course, we have this gorgeous foliage landscape, but we also have the texture of the palette is like a paper bag, almost like when you're apple picking. At least is what I'm telling myself. The color story is absolutely stunning, very reminiscent of fall, and I love warm tone neutrals, as I've already said. We have this entire side of like oranges, reds, yellows that are giving that foliage feel. And then I describe this to myself as we're going into the winter where it's starting to get a little cold, the leaves are falling off the trees, and it's getting a little more drab, and that's what this side is, a little more cool toned. So yeah, I love how matte heavy this is. This was kind of the first time they had done a very matte heavy palette, which I really appreciated. The shimmers in the middle are that really smooth and sparkly, really pretty shimmer. Not shifty, not multichromes or anything like that, but just really pretty shimmers. I think all 3 shimmers go with these mattes really well. You can really mix and match the sides. You can stick to one side to create something more monochromatic. But I think the quality of the mattes is really good. And I just love warm tone neutrals. I love this whole packaging. I love the whole theming. I'm really drawn to it. Coming in at number 2, I have the Okavango Safari palette. You're seeing a theme here, right? We have the Velvet Touch, which matches my chair. I'm gonna pet the chair, I'm gonna pet the palette. Really fun packaging. And this color story is neutrals with pops of grain. So like, I don't really have to go on too much about it. It's something that I reached for a lot when I got it. I can see myself reaching for it. It's pretty timeless. It's just in my preference. I will say the shimmers in this are not like ultra sparkly, ultra shiny. They are more of that standard metallic. They're pressed kind of hard in the pan, but I love me a standard metallic. It's like my style lately. Some of the metallics have that fun kind of element to it where we have zebra stripes, tiger stripes, we have some spots. I think they did a really good job pulling those animal elements into the palette. It is just like a safari, grungy greens, warm neutrals, beautiful color story. It's a beautiful color story. That is the number one thing I love about this, is the color story. And coming in at number one, can I get a drum roll, please? This was my number one palette in the last video that I did, and it continues to be my favorite palette from the brand. I don't know if anything's ever going to top it, but it is the first palette I ever bought from the brand, and it is the Haunted Europe palette. Maybe I'm a little biased because it was the first palette I ever bought from the brand, so I have a little special place in my heart for it, but from the theming to the color story, it is just my favorite. It is just my favorite. Love a spooky theme. We have a lenticular cover. When I first got this palette, I was blown away with the whole presentation. I remember showing my husband, who really doesn't care about makeup, but he was even blown away. He was like, wow, that is so cool. I was like, yeah, that is so cool, right? The color story is neutrals, pops of muted color, grungy, we have greens, we have warm tones, we have some purples. Everything that I love in a palette, this has. I will use every single one of these shades. We have light to deep in the mattes. I do think that they've improved their quality of their mattes and their shimmers since this palette has been launched. I would love for them to relaunch it in a newer formula. That would be really cool. But as it is, as the formula that it already is, it is my favorite palette from the brand. From the packaging, to the theming, to the color story, I'm so drawn to it. It makes me happy every time I look at it. I have a little bit of nostalgia for it. I have a little bit of a special place in my heart for it, but really it is my favorite palette from the brand. All right, and that is it for this Nomad palette ranking. I hope you enjoyed it. I would love to know your favorites from the brand if you have tried the brand. If you haven't tried the brand, are there any palettes here that you saw today that catch your eye? I would love to know. Leave me a comment down below, and I will see you very soon in a new video. Bye.